what are these questions here on page 3?
It's a self-assessment page, right. Obviously.
Right.
Date, personal definition of agriculture, personal relationship to agriculture, and professional relationship to agriculture.
And those can be different, right? There are formal definitions of what agriculture is, but what does it mean to you is more important. This is your book. This ain't going to be turned into nobody. This is for you. The date is super important. But when you can see, oh, I did this 10 years ago, I did this 8 years ago, I wrote this down and had this thought, and now I'm in it. Yeah, so you need to tell yourself in these things, what's your personal definition? You can get to that on your own time.
Okay.
This is for you, Noah, page 5.
Okay. All right, page 5, of course, listing the date, and then it's also listing self-care practices and list 3 of our agricultural goals.
What are your self-care practices currently, right? What ones do you want to add? 3 agricultural goals. You have an idea of what one might be?
One is for me to have my own land, or for my family to have their own land so we can cultivate.
And then after you get that one, then what?
I want to have my own herbal tea business.
Perfect. You have one, a goal?
Yeah, I want to either do some type of sustained growing and harvesting program, whether it be like something like Havashar Works, but just something that really teaches me and I can go through the process of learning.
I love it. I love it.
To think my pepper sauce business sort of more, I guess, fully sustainable. So I'm not buying ingredients, any ingredients at all. Really.
Absolutely.
That thing good too.
Yeah. You have a pen or no?
Yeah, I do.
You do. Okay. Goal for you?
I want to be like watermelon and mushroom farmer.
Clear. Super clear. So anything that's gonna fruit, right? Anything like these peppers, tomatoes, anything that's gonna fruit, this is the time to start those. Is on a waxing moon. Right? Another thing that you want to do during a waxing moon, what else is fertilizing? Yep. Transplanting as well? Yep. It just means this is the time to keep water on the plants, because the waxing moon is already pulling water to the surface. So you just want to keep water on the plants, fertilizing on the plants, anything that is happening at the surface level of the soil. Weeding, right? This is the time you water the field, or you get rain during a waxing moon, and you go out and weed immediately after the rain, right? Plant you have not, then let's look at one. See one that's right in front of wherever you're at, and you'll see that this is how it latches in. So you press this, and this latches out, right? The rope goes in there. So you can open one up. Yep, open. The only way you're gonna learn is by doing. Open one up, take it, just clip it on that plant, and then just work your way up. As you're working your way up, you can split the plant. So this had a sucker come off of it, and we split it so that you can get 2 strings, 2 trellises per plant.
Right.
At that point, you start to cut out all of your extra stuff. It's all good, because I think I got my knife. So in this situation with this one, now that you've already let it split off, now any of these other suckers that are in the joints, just get rid of them. Yeah, get rid of them, because that's just going to try to make another vine. So get rid of them. All the little ones here, anything in the joint, get rid of, because you want this to get fed, right? So then we clip this back here. Your flowers become your fruit. After the flower comes the fruit. And so that in the crease here, you get rid of that, so that the energy goes here. Same thing here, you get rid of it. You see this one here, Kijana, that goes, right? Ideally, you're doing it with clips and not a knife. So as you move down, go find yourself a plant. Go down this way and find yourself a tomato plant, stand in front of it, and then identify the pieces that you would be taking out. Yep, good. Same with eggplants for that matter.
I love that.
Because what are they called? What's the family of them called? Night what?
Nightshade.
A lot of time, but maybe you're coming into an area where there's a lot of organic matter, and you're like, damn, I don't want to move this all around.
Yeah.
You go to wherever you're getting the material and you set your compost bin up. So instead of trying to take the stuff to the material to the bin, you got to do that if you make it a big sturdy compost bin. You got to take everything there. But if you make it something like this,
Yeah, that's what I need.
you just move it to wherever you're gonna work. You get your T-post in, you wrap it with some wire, you see it's just zip ties, right? And then you start layering in the material. We had opened up another compost bin and we took the most rough stuff and put it at the bottom of this. And then the stuff we could use, we put out in the field.
By rough, you mean like not broken down?
Not broken down. So as we're building these compost piles, we keep building them. And so the stuff on the top is normally always still raw. But I might want to open this compost up in 2 months. I'll take all this that's on the top, put it in wheelbarrows or put it to the side, dig into the bottom where it's already broken down, go use that. The top becomes the bottom of the next compost. So we took it from there, moved it over here. It became the bottom of this compost. Then this stuff here, y'all touch this. This is the substrate for the mushroom. This comes from Southern Cap. It's hardwood and what else you think?
Sawdust.
Sawdust and grains.
Mycelium.
He said he was using like some rice hulls and stuff like that. So hardwood sawdust and, and rice grains.
It's soft, yeah.
This thing, it'll serve as like a horse manure. You put this thing in here and it'll just start heating everything up. So there's a lot of green stuff, there's a lot of all of that. Then we put biochar in there. I'll stick a hose in here every now and again and just flood it.
Oh, okay.
If you want to speed this process up, you throw a tarp over it.
Okay.
Flood it, throw a tarp over it, right? Speed the whole process up. That's if you're in a rush. If you're not in a rush, you just let it do what it do. And before we could really conceptualize what to do, we didn't have the material, that's what it was. We didn't have the compost or the money for the compost. So instead we rolled out paper. We rolled out paper and just layered small mounds on top of the paper and then planted the watermelon in that. And that paper isn't as effective as the tarp, but it got ahead of the grass, and now the watermelon will outcompete the grass. And so once we harvest all the watermelon, we'll take all these vines, it'll go right into that compost there, and then we'll till it again, or we might tarp it, or we might cover crop it. Here, this is the planting paper that we like. This is from Weed Guard. It comes in a roll of a couple 100 feet, like 3 feet by a couple 100 feet. This area had got plowed. There was already beds that were shaped. We then came in and put compost down on all these beds. You put your compost in, you put your fertilizer in, then we roll the paper out on top. Put a few sandbags all the way down, roll the paper down. Then start dumping your mulch or your wood chips or whatever you're gonna use for your pathway to hold the paper down. We already had sweet potato slips that we had ordered. So once the paper was down, we wet it down, slice it in, put your sweet potato slips in. The grass will eventually come in, but by that time, these sweet potato slips will have covered this whole area and they'll outcompete the grass. They won't give the grass any light eventually. Questions?
Some people say like you shouldn't use pine wood chips. Is that like a real thing or does it not matter? Or is that harmful?
So I wouldn't use super fresh pine wood chips because they're high in acid. If they've been sitting for a while, it's not that big a deal. And it also depends on where you're going to use it. You can use pine around all your blueberries, for example, or if you have hedges of roses or something like that. So you can use it, you just have to know where to use it. I wouldn't put it right in the farm. Somebody wants an assessment of their okra roll. What do? First thing you do is what I did. You find one and you taste it. Go ahead. Pop it off. Taste it. Taste it. That should give you some idea about the soil, some idea about how much water is happening. You see? You see? What you think? It's pretty good. Yeah, right? I get it. That's why I tell people to eat it raw. Because some people have had it overcooked too many times. They don't know what an okra actually tastes like. What is this plant? What family of plant is this? Exactly. It's a hibiscus. Right. What is happening is that flower opens up. Here comes the pollinator. He hits it. It'll twist up and close up and fall off, and then comes the okra behind the flower. After the flower comes the fruit. After the flower comes the fruit. There you got it. It's hibiscus, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't even
So this is in the hibiscus family, which is also the same as the marshmallow family.
Marshmallow? Okay, is that like the Rose of Sharon? Same?
Palestine, they call it molokia, and they stew it up like kind of like a blended kalaloo, and it has the gooiness of the okra, right? And then in West Africa, Nigeria, and they call it uedu, and they stew it up. Same thing, still serve it with something. So when we start selling this, a woman in Florida gave me the seeds, and the seeds look like little green pyramids. And she gave me the seeds years and years ago. And we started selling it at the market. And different people from Africa, different people from Israel, people from Palestine. It's also called Egyptian spinach, so the Egyptians use it a lot. They say they can never find it. Here, they can only find it like frozen or canned or something like that. It loves hot, it grows tall. You see it does the same thing that kalaloo does, where it attracts the insects. But we cut maybe, I guess about 1.5 feet at each market, right? So we'll do bundles like that for $5.
Really?
Yeah, bundles that are that long for $5. And the people who know, they can't get enough of it. They tell people, they send people to us. So we'll do a big old bundle of plants about that long. You can chop it up, you can eat the stem just like you can with kalaloo. You can cook the whole thing down. You want to be selling things that other people don't have, because you cannot compete with these big farms. If we were trying to do watermelons, we'd need to go do a whole bunch of acres of watermelons. Or you do small acreage of watermelons with some watermelons that nobody has. So they went straight up the hill, and they were primarily farming banana and maize, banana and corn. The bananas would get so heavy from the rain, the plant, that they would take the whole hillside down with it. It would just slide down.
Yeah.
But the women started to plant. They would make a terrace. They would do a terrace on the side of the hill, and they would plant lemongrass on the very outside of the terrace. Then inside of that corn, then the banana. And the lemongrass would form a fibrous wall, and they would never have landslides.
Come on, the women.
So they would do the same thing we're doing, but closer together, and let these just bunch up.
Yeah.
And then that would be the outer part of the hill. Inside here would be the corn. Inside here would be the banana. And no matter how heavy it got, the lemongrass would just hold.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so they were getting the best money because they were getting money off of fruit. Electrical conduit from Home Depot.
Okay.
And then these 3/4 inch PVCs sitting on top of there. Right here, you'll see the conduit screwed together with these little couplings. It's just got 2 screws right here. You loosen it up and the conduit comes apart. Super simple. You see it?
Oh, right here. What you call these?
Couplings, conduit. This is electrical conduit for running electrical wire in a house. You go to Home Depot, you get these 10-foot sections, a few couplings, some 3/4 inch PVC. It just sits right down on top of your T-post. You run the string just like we did in the grow house. So if you don't have a grow house and you're gonna grow your tomatoes outside, same situation. You can see there's one clip here. We just started. As it gets taller, you're gonna prune, clip, 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 all the way up. Once it gets to the top, flap it over or cut the plant. You can cut the plant or you can just flap it over and let it start growing down. And you're gonna get tomatoes all the way up and all the way down. Spread out along the main of the surface. And so it'll spread out along the surface here of this mound, but you know, the water is always gonna be going down. And then it'll start to reach down to get into the water that's under here and under here. So it also gives a place for the plant to lay out without these leaves getting all rotted and stuff. Because these will just kind of give themselves space. You see how it's working. It's just what the plants like. Some of them like to be a little bit more elevated. If you were to fill that out about this place, what's the topography? Is it flat? Look. Does it slope at all? It's higher on, what is this though? What direction is this?
Sun right there. East.
Good. So you want to write that note to yourself. It's higher on the west. It has maybe a 5% grade, 3 to 7% grade, something like that, coming down this way, sloping down to the east.
Like, does it make a difference, like, if it's higher on the east or west?
It makes a difference because for you as the grower, because now you want to decide what you want. So now, great question. If it's higher on this side, and we know the water's going down this side, what did we plant at the very back?
Watermelon. smart.
Okay.
Your bananas,
Water.
your sorghum, your grains. You plant anything down there that's gonna soak up that water. Or you could plant it halfway through the bed. You could catch that water higher up. Yeah, we could catch that water right here if we want to. You don't have to let it go all the way down there. You can catch it wherever you want. Or if you are in a space where you can actually do a retention pond, you say, forget it, I'm not gonna grow nothing on this side. I'm gonna dig this whole thing out as a pond. Right?
Let it.
And then feed this whole area with that pond that you put at the highest spot. Does that make sense? So you know the rainwater will fill it up, you catch your water up there and direct it down here. Here, somebody might think, oh, well, damn, all the water goes down here. Let's put the pond down here. Okay, so now what? So now when you want to water up here, you need a pump.
Right.
To pump it back up.
You can do it, but you could have also just caught it on the high side. So that's why the topography matters. So another set of questions to have you go deeper. So microclimate. What is it? The idea of a microclimate means, so you're in Georgia. We already have a climate. You look at the weather department, it's going to tell you, hey, basically, Georgia's like this, Georgia's like that. It's going to be this many degrees. It's going to be this hot, whatever, whatever. You said it was 84 degrees, right?
88 now.
So it's 88 now. If we walk into that forest, is it 88 degrees? No. So there is a microclimate. It's a smaller version of the macroclimate. So you can create your microclimates by how? By shade cloth. That shade cloth creates a microclimate. Planting deciduous trees is a microclimate. Putting in a hedge is a microclimate. I like to plant bananas for microclimate. Super fast. Those bananas at Harbin, are they big?
So big.
Super big, right? That banana was one banana plant about the size of Trinity that Giovanna planted 17 years ago.
Wow, that's why they.
I had bought a banana. It's huge, right?
Huge, yeah.
Huge. And I've chopped that thing down multiple times. I've taken plants out of there. You know all those plants over at Mayflower that those banana plants that Chris planted? Yeah, that came from that banana.
Dang.
All the bananas at TLW came from that banana.
Wow, and them been there for a long time.
Right.
Wow.
So we took them from Harbin, planted them at TLW. Chris got them, called me up and was like, hey man, I just got to this spot that has a lot of water. Can I dig up some bananas? He went to TLW, dug up those bananas and took them to Mayflower. Then we took bananas from Mayflower back to other sites.
Wow, look how that happened.
Same one plant. But when that plant shoots up, you got a shade place. The temperature drops. If you cut out all the other plants, you can make a seating spot inside of that banana circle.
Oh.
Right? The first way I came into the banana circles was because I was in California, in LA, and we were growing on a public school site. How many of y'all been to Los Angeles? Okay, so the interesting thing about LA is the police don't chase black people on foot. They use a helicopter. So you know, people tell you about the palm trees in LA. LA is all palm trees. LA was not palm trees. LA was oaks, it was carob, it was all these big trees that made a big canopy.
Wow.
And the police decided we're gonna push the government to cut out all these trees so that we can track people with a helicopter and put in palm trees that don't cast no shade. So when I was coming up at night, the whole backyard would light up because the ghetto bird would be up there with a searchlight and they'd just come through your backyard with a searchlight. And then if somebody do something, they chase them. And can you imagine? Either you're on foot or in a car and there's no trees to cover you but damn palm trees. And the police are not even chasing you in a car. They in a helicopter just keeping a bright light on you the whole time. That's how it works. That's how it is. So my teacher was like, look, we need to have places to lay in the cut. So every garden he would plant 3 bananas. Small banana plants, one here, one here, one here. They would start to replicate and you'd have a spot where you could walk in and you're just inside of a circle of bananas.
I like that.
Right? It's a good place to put a bathroom. Right? If you need to dig a composting toilet, you dig it inside of a banana circle. Right? You could be inside that banana circle and barely no rain will come to you. Nobody can see you. Great escape routes. You know, if you have a little cut in the back of your garden, put a banana circle in that corner. You go into it. People are like, damn, where did she go?
Oh, yeah, right.
She gone.
Oh.
So microclimates are created by looking at plants as architecture pieces. Look at the plant as an architectural piece. The tree is a piece of architecture. A shrub is a way to create a wall, right? Thorny shrubs like the natal plums or trifoliate orange or roses. You plant those around things that you want to protect. If you say that'll be an archway, it'll come right up here to the wash station. Who's this? What'd you say? Yep, that's another simple, easy cash crop. Turmeric, you put it in the ground, you just leave it there. People are gonna buy it fresh, they're gonna buy it dried, they're gonna buy it in a powder. You got time on this. You can put it in tea. A lot of you, for your different formulas, you're gonna be using it. I'm sure turmeric is used pretty commonly. So now just let people talk. Don't feel like you have to say nothing. You do not have to answer to nobody. You don't have to make the decision in that moment. And if it's difficult for you to be quiet, then just think about putting the tongue at the roof of your mouth. And the moment you feel it drop, it's because you're getting ready to say, you need to let them talk. And then if they start winding down, you ask questions that are open-ended questions. You don't ask people yes or no questions. Because if you ask them a yes or no question, you're going to get a yes or no answer. What you want is a why, a how, a when. You start all your questions that way. So when is this supposed to start? How long is this supposed to last? How much is the pay? When does it come? What are you expecting? And each time you ask a open-ended question, you just watch. You just watch. While people are talking, you always check their feet. You look at their feet. If you come up in a circle of people that are already having a meeting, and you don't know exactly what the nature of the meeting is, before you step into that circle, look at everybody's feet. Their feet will tell you who is the authority in that meeting. Because the feet will be pointing towards the person who's the authority, and you won't even have to, you'll be able to know. And when somebody's done talking to you, their feet are already out of the game. They may still be looking at you, but their feet are going to where their focus is. For somebody to lie with their body, they have to be thinking about lying with their body. But the body's gonna tell, it's just because it's automatic. You know what I mean? And don't try to hold that conversation. Don't try to hold it. Let it go. If they're not interested, you're not interested. The next thing is you are here to gain skills. You're in a point in your life at this age right now where it's skill building, skill building, skill building. So something that doesn't sound like an opportunity, where you'll be learning skills, is an opportunity. You're in a window between a job, and there's somebody who's like, hey, I'm a plumber. You're like, I'm trying to learn how to grow food. Who the fuck? You know what I mean? He's a plumber? She's a plumber? Go. Is there plumbing out there? Is there plumbing on the farm? So you may be like, oh, it's not enough money. It's no money. Who cares it's no money? Does this person have a functioning business with a license or something like that? You want to go be with them. You don't overcommit. You say, hey, look, I got 2 days a week. I got 1 day a week. And I'm going to sit with this plumber. And you don't ask questions. You do this shit where it's, I'm moving this, I'm measuring that. When they see, oh, you're going to be around for a minute, they're going to start giving you gems. Why would somebody give you gems on the first day? They don't even know if you're going to be around. You make the decision before you get the job. You make the decision before you get into the relationship. You make the decision before you have the baby. You make the decision in all these unseen, quiet, no consultation type of vibe. You're in your own self. You're weighing the options. You're looking at what you're looking at. And then you think, okay, I got this life that I'm creating, that I'm living. Do you want to be dragged around by your tongue and your genitals, or do you want to walk yourself through your life rather than being dragged around? Because people will drag you around. Your senses will drag you around. You're like, well, damn, this feels so good. Okay, it feels good. Experience it for a certain amount of time, but don't make that shit. Crack seems to feel good for people. You know what I mean? But you on the outside seeing them approaching, you're like, really? Off a feeling? Growing a life is about how do you get that feeling internally, grow it for yourself, and be able to revisit it anytime you need to, wherever you are, sitting on a plane, sitting on the bus, you know what I mean? At a funeral, because all of this is going to happen. You are not unique in that way. Everybody gonna have a heartbreak. Everyone gonna lose somebody. All of that is going to happen. You can guarantee it. So therefore, what are you gonna have in that moment? It ain't gonna be your watch. You're gonna have to be like, what is this? What is it? Where do I get it? You grow it. You grow it in the time before you need it. Like you on that video that you did at OU and talking about the beets. If you want beets, you don't think I want beets in October and plant them in October. If you want beets in October, you plant them in July. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
So you gotta be growing your life before you are in it. You gotta be always growing it so that when that moment comes, when the opportunity comes, when the challenge comes, you already are fortified. Why do people fast? They fast because there's gonna be a time when there's not gonna be nothing to eat. Or there's gonna be a time when work requires that you don't eat even when there's food right there. There's gonna be a time when you're around your family and you decide, oh, maybe the elders and the children should eat first. And then you turn around, you fully intended to eat. You come back, there ain't nothing to eat. What you gonna do? Act like a little baby? Or you just gonna get some water and go handle your handle? Because they still gonna need everything for you to do that you're supposed to do if you ate. Nothing changes. Nobody cares if you don't eat. That's why I started growing food. Because I realized nobody gave a damn if I didn't eat. Grow your life. It's in you. Grow it from yourself. You can take examples outside, but nobody can actually do it. Your parents may want to do it and they can't do it. You know what I mean? They got to watch you get out there and go and be around people that don't mean you no good, and they have to say, well, hopefully she already got that. You know what I mean? Because she spent her time in her sketchbook and she knows how to hone herself in and not get caught up in the bullshit. Because somebody going to tell you they don't like you. You know what I mean? Somebody going to tell you, I changed my mind. You know what I mean? I don't want to do it. I thought we was, well, you thought, but
Right.
now what? And what do you do at that point? You stop living? And the next day, I got up. My eyes opened up, whether I wanted to or not. The sun came up. I was depressed. Oh, I don't want to. My eyes opened up. Hey, you're still here on this side of it. What are you going to do? You can't grow a job. You have to grow a life. You got to grow a life.
Is that trademark?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Change my name, my business. Because my first name means life, that's why.